Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. Here I am. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my video that was just absolutely wonderful for a few minutes ago. And then it's just giving me fits. Why does everything have to give me fits? Okay, window. Short library. Okay, there we go. Why can't you show me you all clips? There you are. Show me that. You up here? Now can you play? Okay. Well, as always, I start out real three sheets of the wind. That's me. Oh well. Howdy doody. Now, yesterday was kind of rough. My first time out. And I used to teach television production. That would make that an excuse. First thing I told kids that were on campus is never touch your nose. Don't clear your throat all the time. I asked my wife this morning, she said, do I do that all the time? I said, yeah, you do it all the time. So now I'll just swallow. Oh, well. Not like ABC is paying me or anything like that. Anyway, welcome all. This should be fun. First, I'm David Greg Taylor. I'm the author, the artist, the editor, the colorist, the letterer, and the publisher of Blueboy Brown, The Adventures of a Family. And I've done this as a, what is this? Coloring and lettering, page 53. Let me see, where's my banner? It has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing. Drawing, coloring, and lettering, page 54. I don't know why I have coloring and lettering, page 53. I see. Huh. Drawing and lettering. Well, let me look at I have a. What is this? Stupid thing have to be like this. Okay. We're not in a hurry, are we? There I am. So it's working. Even though it says coloring and lettering, page 53, don't pay any attention to that. It's coloring, lettering, page 54. My Lord, they have a closed captioning, at least on there. So how can I get rid of that? Comments, banners, brand, theme, font, minimal, logo, overlay. No, I don't like that. Okay. Anyway, don't pay attention to coloring and lettering, page 53, because for some reason it's up there. that is not what I put on here. But I was everything would be so dumb. Okay, this is streaming, and let me see my banners. Okay, here's what we were doing yesterday. This is not what I was wanting to show you. Stop that. Share another screen, and I want to show you this. This is what we were doing yesterday. The page. This is page 53. We're going to do page 54. First, I'm going to show you how I take a I have somewhere up here. If I don't, I'll have it in a few minutes. Page 54, 55 layout. Okay, what's that? Here I have that. Here we have this. Let me show you the page, the sketchbook entry, the thing that I used as the, well, I do everything with my sketchbook. And the thing over here on the left, that's what you're going to be looking at today. It's a little sketchbook I got at Barnes & Noble many years ago, and then I was in the middle, I started doing little sketches of this in a restaurant with my wife and my foster daughter. And I think I got Coke spilled on or something like that. But once it dried out, I started saying, I need to do a little more planning. So I started drawing out all the panels here. And when I get finished with these panels, with the sketchbook, what I do is I scan it like I did here. But this may be actually be a phone pic. Anyway, it's probably scanned. And I blow it up to the size of a that I want it to be in the comic book page on bristle board. I get all my bristle board at Dick Blick. It's Dick Blick brand bristle board. It's great stuff. And it doesn't cost as much as a regular bristle board that you get from Archer's or something like that. And it's just wonderful. I get them. First ones I got were like 9 by 12. Then I graduated to 19 by 24. Cut them in half, and they're the perfect size for a comic book page. So I gang them up on a laser printer, put carbon paper underneath, and then I trace it onto a piece of bristle board. And it looks pretty much like this. And eventually what I'll do is I will take a mechanical pencil and I'll ink it. Now, ink and pencil, that's not the same thing, is it? But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I ink with the mechanical pencil. In fact, I should go back to, stop sharing that. Go back to this, and I will show you my mechanical pencil. Right there. This is a big mechanical pencil. You can buy this at Office Max, Office Depot, Staples, CVS. You can just buy this about anywhere. And isn't that just so wonderful? You don't have to go to an art supply store to get your art supplies sometimes. And you can buy the refills at CVS. You can't seem to buy the refills anywhere else. CVS has them. And the cool thing about these is that the graphite is made in France, and it's really high quality. It's a 2B pencil. It works beautifully. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I take this little thing and I turn it into my inker. I ink with that. Then I scan it on my Workforce WF-7220, 7720 that I got at Office Depot for a song. And it's 11 by 17 inch scanner. And that's not the usual scanner. Usually it's letter size. And I've been looking for one of these things for ages. So when I started scanning these things, I had a letter size Epson scanner, and I'd have to do two. I'd have to hang them up and then splice them together in Photoshop. It's not much fun. So I found this thing last spring. Or I don't know where I found it. I found it was beautiful, wonderful thing. And so now I can scan a whole page, a whole comic book page at the same time. It's just a wonderful thing. So and so let me show you. Let me show you that. Okay, I'll share the screen that has. I opened this up in iMovie. It's a 27-minute video, and I think that's too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it at double speed. Clip, fast forward. Okay, so can I start it now? Clip. How about play? You. Play. About play. Do that for me. Yeah. Can I play this? There. Not there. Not there. Not there. Up here. Now play it. I have it set up to play at 250% of the speed. Am I doing it right? Yeah. Okay, clip adjustments. 200%, I want it 250%. Now do it. Oh, please don't cross the speed that fast. Okay. Now play. Okay. Not there. There. Now play. Okay. Now it's anyway. Hope you can see this. And I had it full screen, but then it really messed up on me, and so I'm not going to show it full screen. Anyway, this will make it a little bit faster, and nobody needs to see me make decisions and everything like that. This is a lot easier. This will make it look like I'm really the decisive person. Woo! So this is how I'm doing it, and you'll notice that for all intents and purposes, this is a black line. And when you scan this and bring it into Photoshop, it is a simple matter to increase the contrast in levels so that this is a black line on perfectly snow white paper. And it works beautifully. And the cool thing is, because this is really high quality graphite, is that you can, anybody who's done inking knows what feathering a line is. And I'm going to show you in a few seconds how you can feather a line, which gives you the same effect that you get with a watercolor brush, where you have a line that has a point, like the tip of a dagger. And you do it just by flicking the pencil mark, which I experimented with. I said, hey, I can do this. And it's really fun. So here I am. I was doing this with my phone. I spent a lot of money on a movie camera when I retired. And then I don't want to take that thing with me all over the place. So when I was doing this, sometimes this here I did at home because I could see my drawing board clip over there. But sometimes I'll be at the college and I'll have 3 hours between classes. And so I'll go eat, I'll have my office hours, and then after that, I'll go to an empty classroom. There's always at least another empty classroom that you can buy. And I'll set up a tripod, and I'll take video of me drawing, and it's as good as anything I ever had with that expensive movie camera. So I got rid of the movie camera. Wow, God, carry that around. I got this on my phone, and the movie camera always had to go to a memory card, whereas this, I can upload this to Google Drive, and I can and then put it on my hard drive at home, and it's a simple thing to do. So here I am. I'm much slower than this because I'm taking my time. I don't want to mess this up. And you'll notice that it's very much like the sketchbook thing I did. I do some revisions in Photoshop when I'm working on it and coloring it. And many times I'll finish it up like that. And I just have a little Wacom Intuos tablet. I thought seriously about getting a Wacom or an X-Pen display tablet, but right now this will do it. And I kind of like the idea of just doing it on bristle. I like original art. And if you do it on a computer screen, you have no original art. It's all in the ether. It's all zeros and ones and code and stuff like that. I'm an old guy, and I'm not yet willing to give up all the coolness of the analog world. Got too much experience doing that, and I didn't like it. You can do things to it. I should show you a few things why the digital world is so cool. Because with this pencil, I can do inking, as it were, but I also can do really subtle pencil drawings that you can never do with watercolor brush. Maybe I should show you one of those. One of my favorite ones. I'll do that maybe later. I got plenty of time. See, it's time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I'll go up to the top panels in a few seconds, and I sort of make Big Brother Joe be a ghostly figure here because I want it to just make it about these two. Yeah. Hey there, the draw. Yeah, I see you. My friend from Hungary, I think so. Cool. Glad you're on. You should bring it up like this. Yeah, the draw in. Yes. Digging it. So here's the top panel. Once I get finished with this, I'll show you a video just using QuickTime because it's a little bit more, it's not as long. This was 27 minutes. I thought that was just way too long just to watch a simple line drawing. Now this is, I don't know how anybody else draws. I've just been, doing my way for years and years and years. And I've seen how other people draw, but classically one begins with a contour drawing, and then you model with hatching and cross hatching, which is what I do. Uh, I think that's pretty much how inkers do it. They start out with just the contours, and then they work on the. See, there's just a cool part of this. You get to erase. How do you erase with ink? Whiteout. You make Michael Nesmith's mother a little bit richer, which I have no objections to. But whiteout was never my favorite thing. Doing all that stuff, and then you buy original comics art, you'll probably see an awful lot of whiteout being used, or white gouache. It's got to be something that's not water soluble. My horses have improved as I got along. I used to when I did a lot of research for this comic. I spent quite a lot of time at Calder Racecourse and Gulfstream Park here in Florida. Wonderful thing about living in Florida is in the middle of the winter, you can go to the racetrack and you can see the most gorgeous horses you'll ever see in your whole life at these horses. And then I take lots of photographs, and I've done lots of study of horse anatomy. I got, what's that guy? There's an Englishman who's I forgot his name, who did a horse anatomy. I got an entire set of prints that I printed out from, I think I got them at some kind of art database, art store. And I printed them out. They were high definition. I printed them out, 13 by 19 inch horse anatomy. So I studied horse anatomy a lot. And now I can draw. Fortunately, mostly I can just draw right from my head. I think that's it. I think I'm right at the end of this. Yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing that. Stop sharing this. Then I'm going to share. Where are you? Oh, yes. Okay. QuickTime. What do you want me to do? Oh, QuickTime. There you are. QuickTime. Open. Let's see. H54. Up this side. Okay. Okay, that's H54. That. Okay. Good. Yep. This is the one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use the trackpad. Okay, this one. This is the one I'm going to share. Okay, now I'm going to share this one. So we play that. And this one I can do at normal speed. I've done the top of the middle, and I don't understand why I didn't do the bottom. Maybe I was just goofing on. Says, hey, wait a second, I should do this. But anyway, the bottom one will give you an idea of what I mean about being able to use a mechanical pencil to feather lines. And fill in, get a black. It's when you scan it, it's a really dark gray, but that doesn't matter because once you get it into Photoshop, you can increase the contrast. And then once you get in, even after you've done that, you can use a burn tool to turn all the blacks into real blacks. So here's where I'm starting to feather lines. Maybe I'll start to do it here. Yeah, well, one of those things that you see that inkers do. You feather lines, you just bring it up. You don't bring it down. I usually don't bring it down. I usually bring it up. And then you get real precise lines. And then I like to do these cross contour little dashes and stuff like that, which comes from my complete devotion to Rembrandt. I see this a lot in Rembrandt's etchings. He does this so beautifully. And I ain't no Rembrandt, but do my best. And it's nice I didn't get my hand on top of the drawing that you couldn't see anything, which is a kind of a failing of a left-hander. That's what we do. We're always curling our hand around to get to the drawing. And then the video, that's not so wonderful. But I kind of fixed that because this little tripod I made out of PVC piping that I got at Home Depot. They cut it up and put it together and then stuck a selfie holder onto it. That's what I'm using to do this. I place it to the right of the drawing so that even if I do that, which is unconscious, I don't want to do it, but I do it, it compensates for that. Add comments. Can you do that? Yes, my friend. I am not the first person to use a mechanical pencil in this way. I don't think I am. I think I've seen a few people use mechanical pencils in general. They say with Photoshop, why do you need the ink? The thinker's going to say, hey, wait a second. But where inkers really do their stuff in mainstream comics, they're not going to be really into ink. This is just for us eccentrics. Now, this is my rendition of Paul Brown. His name is also Blue. There's 3 blues in here. Blueboy is the youngest. That's him, and he's big. That's what makes him stand out. He's such a big thing. I have the kind of experience in this. My brother is like 6'7". I'm the little one. I'm 6'3". I'm the little one in my family, which I always tell my students. They say, Taylor, how tall are you? I said, I'm 6'3". I'm the little one in my family. They go, what? Yeah, I'm the little one in my family. Actually, I'm the little brother. When you've got a 6'7" brother who's always been a head taller than you, you will never feel like you're a behemoth. He's the behemoth. I spent half my childhood with him on top of me, beating me about the head, which brothers do. Don't anybody else try to beat me around the head, then they'll have on him on them, which happened quite a few times. Because I did not get to be a big guy until I was like a junior in high school. So he had to be taken up from me a long time. There I am now, feathering. La 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 la. You notice this is almost like a stop motion animation. This the video I'm getting, which I noticed. I was teaching online during the month of April, and early in the morning, the video would be kind of okay, but as the East Coast woke up, which they're waking up now, everybody gets online. This whole thing with the lockdown has caused everybody to be online. So no matter what's going on, you're going to get a little bit of staccato movement from video, which is, hey, that's life. It's not the worst thing that ever happened. I love being able to erase like this. And you find it because it's pencil. I've always been kind of a pencil guy. Pencil and charcoal and ink occasionally. Back in my everyman days, we used ink, both Winsor & Newton sable brushes and rapidographs, which, man, I got to hate rapidographs. Not because they gave you bad results, because they kept clogging. They clog up with ink. You had to have special rapidograph ink because the regular Kohinoor or Pelican ink would dry up in it, clog it, be shaking that thing all the time and drive you nuts. How far am I along in this? Okay, it's almost finished. And I guess we'll go on to there it is. There's the top. Yeah, that's how I did that. Okay. Where am I? 103. Okay, I'm done here. So stop sharing that and go to open up. I should. What I should do is open up. Okay. File. Better to do it that way. Then I don't have to do it twice. Okay. I think it's this one, which is not that one. Okay. Hour and 44 minutes. Okay. So this week's start, I'm going to start looking at this. Now, I told you yesterday that what I did at the beginning of a coloring this, so I set up a bunch of layers in Photoshop. One of them is a tone layer that I use as a middle value so that I can lighten it up by using a dodge tool and get the white of the paper. And then I can use that middle tone to play off that. And then I can always darken in using shadows, or I can use a dodge tool to darken that tone or anything else. So that's where we're starting here. I have already, at a certain point here, what I think happened, which is why I got, maybe today it worked, tomorrow I think I had a problem with page 55, that I was doing all this, QuickTime froze up on me. It didn't tell me it froze up on me. It just went 10 minutes into the video, and I lost like an hour. So you'll see that tomorrow. But today when I start this, I have already worked on the lighter values with the dodge tool. And now I'm getting into coloring. On my color layer, I have the line layer, the color layer, a layer of watercolor paper that I scanned at 300 dots per inch, a real old piece of Fabriano Classico rough paper that I bought many years ago when I was working at Utrecht art supplies on 4th Avenue in Manhattan, just above Astor Circle. And wonderful place to work while you're in graduate school because you get 20% off on your art supplies. And every once in a while they'd say, "We don't need this stuff. Look at this. Who wants this?" And I said, "How much?" $1 each. $1 each for 22 by 30 inch Classico rough, 300 pounds, 300 pounds. So I bought 100 sheets of it. I still have it. That's why I scanned one of that WC up there, which I don't know if you've got eyes better than I have. You might be able to see a WC above the tone layer. I put that in there, so I give the drawing a watercolor texture. Then I'm using watercolor brushes to do all the coloring. And then I use a smudge tool to approximate the wetness of color, watercolor. And it works. It works pretty well. Some of these pages, I should show you some of the pages that I've used doing this. That just, that's when I started saying, okay, this is the direction I'm going. I'm going to do all the rest of them like this. Because it just blew my mind and I just loved it so much. When I started drawing in 1959, I started drawing because my big brother, the guy who's a head taller than me, started drawing. That guy could draw. Man, can he draw. Still can draw, but he gave it up. He gave it up after high school. He was really into it in high school, but I don't really got the idea that it would be a bad life. He thought he would be poor all his life. So he went and did something else. He eventually became a registered nurse, which when you're a 6'7" registered nurse, you get all the problem patients. It's like being a 6'3" high school teacher. They put all the problem kids in your class. Why? Well, you're 6'3". Can't you handle it? Yeah, I guess maybe. So this poor guy he was trying to subdue guys with delirium tremens in the ER and all, but he just had a hard time. But he's retired now. He's a couple of years older than me, so he's 69 years old. Still 6'7". But his artistic thing, he's still an artist in many ways. What he did over the years is he restored cars. And that's what he did when he got out of high school. He got married to a wonderful woman. And then he started restoring cars. And he was really good at it because he's a really good artist. To this day, if he wants to sit down and draw something, he just draws it beautifully. And but he never had the interest in art as a passion like I did. And he had an incredible antique collection. So he's good at just about everything he does. Smart cookie. So I was just drawing all this stuff since I was 6. It's been a passion with me. I've never been able to get rid of it. One time I tried, because at a certain point I realized in my youth that I was a real dork, that I was a complete rube, that I needed some growing up in a big way. So I set about doing that. That was my main project during my late 20s. And I realized what a goofball I was. And I had to do some growing up. It took a long time, I'll tell you. But I did. I think the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle was getting married. I I was a wild man for many years, and I finally got married to an absolute saintly woman who's kept me on the straight and narrow ever since. That's the wonderful thing about marrying a good woman, is that she will make you do the right thing. You will do the right thing, or you will be sorry. So she's done that. Reminds me of Louis Armstrong when he was being interviewed. He was talking about his wife and how he gave all his money to his wife, and she handled all his business affairs. And people were criticizing him because he was letting her run the show. He says, "What are you talking about? She's my wife." That's the way wives. That's the way it should be. You know, can't trust your wife, might as well hang it up. So my wife lets me do a lot of stuff. She runs the house, and I do all the heavy lifting. But here I am. Okay, now I'm still in the color layer, and I'm usually what's going on here is I have the previous pages. I have the previous page. I have two screens. I have the previous page on one screen, and then on the big screen here that I've got, I have Photoshop open. And when I want to duplicate color, I just go and take the eyedropper over to the other page that I've opened up. And I get that color. And that way I'm able to match colors from page to page. Because I think it's easier than developing a swatch in Photoshop, because when you develop that swatch, you still have to go into the swatch and pick the right color. You get to a certain age, it's difficult. So I just rather do it this way. And once again, I'm trying to get a sense of space using mostly muted colors, and then this bright aqua blue to create focal areas in all my main characters. And then by modulating the values, messing around with foreground, the middle ground, the background, I can create those three zones, which are, when you're trying to do credible space, that's how you do it. And implement some flesh tones. It's not the only flesh tone I'll use. I'll do it just flat like in the old comic books, which they didn't have too much choices. Now you can do all types of cool stuff because of Photoshop and the digital revolution. It's one of the cool things about the digital revolution. Some really bad things about it. As a teacher, you hate phones because everybody got their phone out. And you can yell till you're blue in the face. You're still gonna have those phones out. And you can write out all types of petitions, and they'll still have those phones out. I think in my school system, they eventually gave up and says, bring your own device to school, either your phone or your tablet. So once they did that, give it up, bud. Don't try and fight it. They're going to have their phones out, so try to do your best. And now now I'm walking the dog, and there's people walking down the street, and they're watching their phone and everything like that. Last week I was walking the dog in the morning. This kid coming straight at me on his phone, not even looking where he's going. I said, "Get off the sidewalk. Get off the sidewalk." He looked up. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Social distancing, dude." He said, "Oh," and he got off the sidewalk. Thank God I wasn't a car, because that happens, especially in New York City. People get hit by cars right and left because they're on their phone. I don't understand how people can walk and be on their phone at the same time. Like I said, you stop and pull your phone out of your pocket, then do that. Okay. But not the other way around. Now, this is I'm running a banner at the bottom of the page now. That's the URL of this page. Kind of like that I had a Blueboy riding a mule. Mules are great animals. When I was working my way through college, I knew the last Missouri mule skinner. He was like 94 years old. He was living in a nursing home. Big guy, about 6'2", 6'3", big as I was. About 94. Great old guy. Kept asking the nurses if they want to go to the movies, just a super big guy. He's the last of the Missouri mule skinners. And I have a special appreciation for mules. And also that Festus rode a mule in Gunsmoke. Always liked Festus. I love Festus. One of the things I love about Festus is that Ken something, Ken, I forgot, Ken was his first name. He was also a member of Sons of the Pioneers. The guy could sing. That meant that he was special friends with Roy Rogers. And if you're my age, Roy Rogers was it when you were a kid. More than even Gene Autry. Roy Rogers. I loved Roy Rogers when I was a kid. About the time I was learning to draw, probably I was drawing horses because of Trigger. Because on Friday nights, right around my bedtime, on the late movies, they would show Roy Rogers movies. And I'd stay up, I'd struggle to stay awake so I could watch a Roy Rogers movie. But that was a special thing back then. Now it's real tough to watch them because they are kind of, but it's the same story over and over again. But I loved Roy Rogers as a kid. So this guy, Kenneth, something or other, I should look his name up. Anyway, he was with the Sons of the Pioneers, and he was a great Festus Hagen. A super guy. He looked sort of like Pa Brown, except he didn't have that kind of a mustache. My great grandfather had that kind of a mustache. Great mustache. Sooner or later, I have a couple of photographs of great grandpa where he looks like that. It looks just like that. And he's got this huge son that I patterned Blueboy after, who was also that size. and everybody in the grandfather of Blueboy is a little guy, and everybody else is normal size except Blueboy. But in our family, my great grandfather was a little itty bitty guy, not very big at all, and then his son James married this woman, and my great grandmother Catherine. Everybody since then, all the men in the family since then, on all my cousins, all my uncles, everybody from then on was over 6 feet tall. And 6'4" was, I got a nephew that's 6'4". I got a niece who's close to 6 feet tall. The shortest that any of them gotten is like 6'1". 6'1" short in my family. I'm sort of right there in the middle. And then I had, on my mother's side, I had a grandpa that's 6'4". I had an uncle who's 6'4". My mother was 5'11". So I was all set up to be a big guy. So I like that deal. I don't know how long I'll have him stick around. He's got to graduate to a decent sized horse sooner or later. Or he might keep the deal. I don't know. I'm not going to get that away. So now I'm have to change the temperature and value of that brown so that I knock that area back. I think I even give poor Joby back there. He becomes the ghost in the machine. That area right there. Joby will have his place later on. Big brothers always have their place. Few of the characters actually have the names of the people in my family that I base this on. None of the things that happen in this comic happened in my family, except my great grandfather was a soldier in the Civil War, and he did come back, and nothing was the same after that. And he became a lumberjack. He was a lumberjack. That's the craziest thing to be a lumberjack. My dad was a lumberjack for a short time after he got out of the Army Air Corps. He said, "I ain't doing this. I am not doing this." So he opted for other things. A lumberjack. It's not an easy life. I think they did a lot of their cutting down trees in Louisiana and Arkansas. That's where a lot of the pine trees that are used for paper mills are in the South. Strangely enough, one of the few. I always seem to get that. Not that. Oh, okay. Okay. One of the few places in the South, in the Jim Crow era, that had integrated workforces. People worked side by side, and there weren't any real racial divisions there. Though I suspect that they had. If you were living in a bunkhouse, if you were part of living in a company town, which the Browns avoided, they probably had segregated bunkhouses south of back then, not now. And but that's an interesting part of the story too. Did an awful lot of research into the lumber industry in the South in the 19th and early 20th century. Bought several books on the history of this. Bought a study on culture of the South in that era. This is this is 1914, specifically February of 1914. I wanted to be right before World War I. It doesn't really impinge upon the story because it's not going to happen until early summer. Then it's going to happen. It's going to be horrible. But right now, it's just what's going on here in Arkansas. I'm beginning to set up a sense of the spatial properties, separating those guys from the background. One of the cool things about giving it a tone is that it makes it a little bit easier to do that. That's just white of the paper. The white doesn't really operate spatially very well, unless it's given that middle tone. Okay, over here I'm figuring out what color I'm going to use. Yeah, I'm once again going back over to the previous page and checking out that color and getting this output. Oh yeah, using it for the sky. Mostly what I do when I'm doing these things is I do what colorists do when they're flatting things, is I lay in all this flat color and then I start giving it different values and everything. I don't use flats because I did try using flats. There's a place on the web that'll actually do the flats for you automatically using an algorithm, but it just gives you so many little different places, like a little, really 5,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. But I didn't. It just didn't appeal to me too much. I'd rather just do it this way. Because in the end, I wanted to look like a watercolor painting. I actually thought for a while of transferring this all to watercolor paper and doing these as watercolors. But that would mean that I've been probably spending 5 years on one book. I'm not going to do that. This is a whole lot better because you get the same effects. And in the end, what's important is what you see on in the webcomic and in the print edition. When the print edition comes out, that it looks this cool. That it looks like it was watercolor paper. Some of the times when I use this, I wonder to myself, I don't know, if you're an artist, you've had one of those little sessions, when you get finished, you go, how did I do that? Boy, just something comes together and it looks better than anything you've ever done. And you say, boy, I hope that happens again, and you don't know if it ever will. I just keep on plugging away at it. See down there in that middle panel, it's starting to, okay, now it looks as if there's some kind of space going on. It's rudimentary, but there's some kind of space going on because I got rid of all of the white that isn't supposed to be white, except for Blueboy's boots. But Paul's riding a white horse. So it's starting to come together. And those of you who are cut your teeth on 60s superhero comics, you know that all the colors were super flat, which I kind of like in some ways. I don't think you should vary too much from that for the simple reason, this is the simple reason. When you get too fancy with the color, you're hiding the drawing. And that's something you shouldn't do. The color should enhance the drawing. It should make the drawing more beautiful. It should make it more powerful. It should get and the story is what's important. This is one of the reasons why I have waited all this time and have done so much reading, so much research on this subject. And I spent a lot of time at the Mormon genealogical archives up along. They have one right above Columbus Circle in Manhattan, and I researched the history of my mother's family and my father's family, and I got census records and all their names. I knew they never had slaves. I'm glad of that. They never had any money, so you had to have. I guess there were poor people who had slaves, but we never had slaves because we're a large section of the family were Mennonites. Look, this whole comic book has as its title Mennonite Killers, which is sort of like a take on the fact that Mennonites are pacifists. You don't find a Mennonite that will go to war, and that's the whole plot device that I use in here. This boy goes to war, just like my great-great-grandfather did. So they were the first to come out against slavery, long before Wilberforce did, long before any of these people in the British Isles did it, long before slavery was abolished. They were saying this is absolutely wrong. You do not hold people as chattel. These are not property. These are human beings. So they never owned any slaves, and they were very much against slavery, but they were pacifists also. That's one of their things. They did not go around killing people. So in the Civil War, many Mennonites were drafted into the army. And if they got into the army, if they didn't run off, like my grandpa did, great-great-grandpa did, they shot up into the air. They wouldn't kill anybody. Remember that Mel Gibson film about the Seventh-day Adventists who would not kill? It's very similar to that, except these people were Mennonites. They weren't Seventh-day Adventists. Mennonites are basically the original Anabaptists. They believe in adult baptism, as opposed to the rest of Christianity believe in that infant baptism. So the Amish are an offshoot of the Mennonites. Everybody's heard of the Amish. Well, the Amish are an extremely conservative branch of the Mennonites. We're more conservative than even the Mennonites. Well, the Mennonites have every time they get into a conflict that looks like there's going to be war or violence and everything, they do their best to avoid it. And who can blame them? This is their core beliefs. You can't give them a whole lot of trouble over it. Anyway, so I did a whole lot of research on this. And looked up all these Mennonite people. So I know a whole lot about these people, what they did and what they were up to, where they came from. And how they would react to the Civil War. And I did a lot of research on how Mennonites reacted to the Civil War. I didn't get into it. Like one of the pages where Brother George, Grandpa Blue's brother, told him that English been trying to get us into their fight since the beginning. They're going to let a little scrubly like you get away with it. Now you're gonna have to run like the Blue Blazers is after you, because it is. It's one of my favorite pages. Maybe I should show that at the end of this. So I'm using the burn tool right now to darken the value of that blue sky so that it matches what I did on the previous page. So there's no big jump in color. And the reason that you do that, well, you do that because you want consistency, but there's something called the fictive dream. Something John Gardner, a drama, a fiction teacher, said. He said that you should work hard at maintaining the fictive dream. The fictive dream is simply a suspension of disbelief. So if you're not asking questions about why is this happening, you just accept that something's going on. And that's what you do, especially in comics, that you don't have too big a jump from one page to another. One chapter to another, like this is a different color scheme than the scheme I used in the previous chapter. But it's a different day and different things going on. There's a lot of humor in the previous chapter. And this is a completely different set of plot set and story arc going on in this. So it has to have different colors. It has to have a little bit of foreboding. See, I open this up, and you can see what I'm looking at. Yeah, there's back to work. You know, I wasn't looking at that. What's going on? Anyway, I dragged that over to another screen. That's yesterday's stuff. I dragged it over to my laptop. And I guess I'm using that so I can get the same sense of dark values and a sense of contrast and overall feel in each panel. So you don't jump in your sensibilities don't jump. You're actually, you feel like there's a continuity going on there. I don't think I'm telling anybody who's done comics anything new. But hey, I spent 45 years not being in comics, just writing little short stories and one novel, which I've adapted to this story. So I'm sort of in my own self-styled apprenticeship again. I know a great deal about more than I did at 20, about how to set a story up, how to flesh out characters. And one of the things that I teach in my art history classes, because it's a general art history class, and so movies are a part of that. Movies are the ubiquitous form of visual art of the last century. Everybody that you know has seen a movie, and probably everybody you know has seen Star Wars. But how many people have seen the Sistine Chapel? There are less people who have seen the Sistine Chapel than have seen movies. So the Sistine Chapel in the 15th century, 16th century, was the movies of our time. It was the vehicle in which a viewer would go and look at it and say, "Oh my God, look at that." Whereas we would look at the summer spectacular and all the CGI that's going on and say, "Oh my God, how'd they do that?" That's what's going on in the 16th century. Everybody's saying, "How did they do that?" So, I don't know what I was talking about now. Anyway, I know about how to tell a story a lot better now. How to fuse the art and the story together and develop the story. This is 9 books, remember. This is not just one book. It's not just 3 books. It's 9 books. They're all fused together. It's the same family. 3 different generations. And I get 3 books to deal with this family. Then the next generation comes along. 3 books to deal with that family. Then 3 books to deal with the last family, which comes up to the present time. And I've got it all mapped out. I know what's going to happen. There'll be little things along the way that I rewrite as it becomes clear to me that this clarifies my intentions, so that I get my message across. If you're a writer, if you don't have a message, then what are you doing? Anyway, I tell my students all the time that that an artist is basically telling you this is the way the world is. He or she is asking you to enter into the world that I've created here, and I'm going to show you the way the world is. You have to make sure that it's the world that we were intended to live in. And it's not the world of the futurists. I teach an entire section of my art history class, castigating the futurists, who at the time thought that they were really cool. And then their ideas morphed into Italian fascism and allied with Hitler. And then we have an art movement that who knows how the world would have been if that art movement hadn't embraced speed and technology and industrialism in the wrong way. They thought that war was a way to cleanse civilization of the past. They disdained the past. They hated all tradition. No, I don't think that's very bright. Tradition is tradition because it works. Some parts of it Don't fix that. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Fix that which is lousy and keep the things that are good. You can't take everything out and start over, because you're gonna get really weird results. Which the futurists got. They got World War II. They got El Duce. Hard to believe that Marcel Duchamp, the most prominent Dada artist, which is an anti-war movement, would at one time be a French futurist. I don't know, maybe he was young and naive and didn't really understand what futurism was about. Fortunately, he got out of it. It started putting bicycle wheels on stools. A whole lot better than saying, let's have a war. Yeah, Dada's an anti-war movement. That's good. Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's a 10-second delay on Facebook. And I'm only got 53, 79 with my tablet on the charger. Not much out. So I think I'm being kind of a slowpoke here, but there's nothing I'm doing. Okay, now we're going down here. Okay, we're going to play around with the bottom panel. That's good. I said last time I like this film noir lighting technique, in which the top half of your face is in shadow and the bottom is illuminated. I use this a little bit right here. I do it a lot more on that last page, page 52, where Mrs. Hartman tells Grandpa that I ain't no man's concubine. I put her face in shadow, half light. I put his face half shadow, half light, and it looks pretty cool. I love that effect. One of the cool things about movies is a comic book historian over on the Comic Book Historians Facebook page on Facebook. Robert Beerbaum, who has, I believe, the first comic book ever done. It's from like 1840 something. It doesn't look much like comic books we know, but it's the first bona fide comic strip. So you see, I'm gonna start. Let me see if I go up to the shadows section. Painting portrait, it's real important that you take a real good look at faces and notice that they're not all just one color. But you get in 60s comic books, what are you going to do? But anybody who's got a decent growth of beard, you notice wherever their beard is, their face is a slightly different color. It's bluish or greenish there. Depending upon how close the veins are to the surface of their skin, it'll also change the color of their skin. Here we go. now I'm burning that area. And I think when I got finished with this, I changed it because I did not like the way the shadow caused his face to look almost like it was concave. So I changed that eventually before I got to the letter phase, which you'll see in a little while. And I just like to put a little bit of a shine on the nose. Makes the nose stand out. It becomes a focal area. That's I like that. Then we go up to the shadows. Yes, it's maybe like that. And I lay in a really decent shadow. Yeah, there I'm going up to the shadows. I'm laying a fairly decent hat brim shadow on Blueboy's face. It will not be the actual eventual one. Yeah, that has to be changed. That curve there. It'll be the opposite. Doesn't work. But that comes in. Then I'm laying in all these ostensible watercolor brush strokes, and they'll have to be feathered. They'll have to be softened the edges. So now I'm going to dodge something. I'm going to burn it. Okay, I'm going to burn that. Deepen the value of that rim, and I'm going to eventually figure out. You look at Blueboy's hair. I need to darken that. I'll probably do. I don't do that when you look at it on the webcomic. I haven't darkened it yet. I'm going to darken it later. Fortunately, I can do anything I want to, because I haven't reached the print phase yet. Once the print phase comes in, it's solid, set in stone. One of the things that I do, something I've noticed, because I did a lot of research into webcomics and what they look like on phones. Most people are watching what they watch on their phones. Everybody's got a phone with them all the time. Not that many people have a laptop with them all the time. So if you're watching this, you're probably on a phone. But if you're looking at a webcomic on a phone that is done for print and is done very large, you're going to find that you can't read the dang thing. The type for the word balloons is so small. It's one of the first things I noticed. So I make all my type 34 point. I use something something called Web Letterer, which is a really nice font. It's not Comic Sans, which is kind of a silly thing. I use Comic Sans actually for my blogging on on my website, but it's fine for that. For a comic book, it'd be horrible. But I use something called Web Lettering. I found it. It's a beautiful piece of font, and I make it 34 point, which limits the what I really can say on each page, because otherwise it'd be all balloons. I have to be really spare with my dialogue. When I get to the print version, I will expand that. I'll do a rewrite. There's more things I may want to say, because when you're in print, you're not going to use 34 point. You might use 24 point, because you're gonna have it in front of your face, and it's not going to be on a phone, which is miniaturized, and it has to be, the type has to be big enough on a phone so that anybody can read it, including old eyes like mine. And my eyes are the standard. If I can see it, if I can read it, it's cool. A person in their 20s, they're not going to have problems. A person in their 40s, once their eyes start to stop focusing as well as they used to. If you're in your 30s, get ready for it, guys. You're wearing reading glasses. If you're farsighted, you'll be reading glasses soon. If you never wore glasses, you may be using reading glasses soon. So it's really important to me that anybody who reads this on a phone is able to read it without straining their eyes. I noticed this in some of the some really nice webcomics, but the one thing that they do wrong is they get the type too small. And so you have to really only put in the dialogue boxes that which is absolutely necessary. I can expand upon that as I get into the print edition, because I won't have to have 34 point type. And this is my cool part. I have a really dear friend that is a watercolorist, and so he'll appreciate that I'm adding water to these edges. It's just a smudge tool, but it looks like I've watered. Add a little dab of water with a brush to just the edges of these strokes. We still have 50 minutes. What am I doing in 50 minutes? Well, I'm making it, as I remember it, I'm making it a lot richer in value. I think I mentioned yesterday that when I paint, first thing I'm looking for, if I'm going to be successful in painting, it has to have a full range of value. Something that I do in all my fully developed drawings and all my prints when I'm doing etchings is a full range of value, that you use all of the tools in your arsenal, all the tools in your toolbox to make the space believable. A few little places here later on. I think I did this when I was fixing that shadow on Blueboy's face, where there's some bleeding over lines, which looks like watercolor bleeding. I fix that when I get to when I update the page for lettering, which I don't know if I did it that day. I may have done it and then I exported it again as an out of Illustrator, and then uploaded it to the website. I must admit, though, I am having more fun than you can imagine doing this. Because there's nothing more fun than being a visual artist and doing comics after all these years. When I announced that I was going to do this, I did this on I announced this just on a whim. I did this on the Facebook comic book historians site. And I kind of mentioned that years ago, 35 years ago, I was had a small mention in Comics Journal, very small mention, and I mentioned the underground comic I did back then. And one of the guys chimed up and says, "I bought that book." I said, "What?" "Yeah, I bought that book. I remember that book. I enjoyed it." I said, "Whoa." Few people remember me, but the overwhelming majority weren't born. Well, most people probably weren't even born at the time that I did that comic book, and it came out. And there's only so much of a shelf life that a comic book has, so you can still find that comic book, much to my chagrin, on eBay and Amazon. There's always somebody selling it, from 10 to 20 bucks each. Well, I have a few copies over here. Anyway, I'm not selling them though. And I should post this eventually. I think I will. When I was 19, I didn't even pretend to be a writer. I was pretending when I was 20. I was pretending to be a writer, but at 19, I didn't even pretend to be a writer. So I did my first comic strip in a fanzine, a really high-end, high-quality fanzine called Realm 5. Realm. It was done by Artie Romero, who was a college classmate of mine. And the story was called Elyth, Elyth. And it was about a disabled boy who is very interesting story. A disabled boy who is sent off by his parents in a small spaceship to save the little boy from their planet's eugenics movement, which they were going to kill this little boy because he was special needs. And he lands on this planet, and he only lives for a day because he's not Superboy. He's not Kal-El. He's just a kid. And the organisms, the bacteria and the viruses get him, and he dies in one day. But in that day, he's out there in nature and seeing the beauty of this world. And he encounters deer and all types of cool little animals and everything. And then that night he dies. And he's found by somebody. He's on a mountain, anything like that. And they don't even know who he is. And the spaceship crashes and burns up and everything like that. I don't remember the story whether or not they find it. But they bury him out there, and nobody even knows what his story is, except the writer. And I still have the originals for that. And I should scan those. I think they'll fit on my scanner. And I should pop those into. I'll show these on one of my daily broadcasts. When I only put out 3 pages a week, so the other 4 days a week, what am I going to do? I do have page 42 that I'm going to show on Thursday. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit truncated. I have something to do at noon, so I can't do this till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to probably just do an hour and 45 minutes till 11:45, and then I have to do my duties, and then I'll But on Thursday, I'll show probably the lettering for page 55. And then I'll show you the drawing page 42, which is one of my favorite little. It's one of those things where I did it on my 9 by 12 inch bristle board, and I just did a third of a page each on each page. And it's the page where Grandpa Blue is knocking on Mrs. Hartman's door, and she opens the door and says, "Oh, it's you, Blue, isn't it? What are you here for?" And he's going there to ask her to marry him, and she's real mean to me. But you know, that's what happens. A man's got to persevere. If he's ever going to get married, he has to persevere, because as you get closer to the question, the woman's going to put you through the ringer. My wife did. She put me through a lot of hoops before she would even consider me. I had to prove I was a man of substance. I did. And we've been married 26 years. And it's the best thing ever happened to me. Couldn't have found a better woman. She just top drawer all the way. Absolutely tremendous. Most beautiful woman I ever known my whole life. And still is. And she's 60 years old and still just a gorgeous woman. And so that's what's going on with Grandpa Blue in this little thing that I'll show on Thursday. Then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, what I'm doing is that I'm evolving as a colorist. I'm getting better at this. Some pages are just beyond my belief. I really love them. Other pages, those other pages that are, I'm going to go back and maybe I'm going to recolor them using my little watercolor thing. And then I'll do, I actually could probably do those live, not do them as video that I've taken and then I show in an application screen. And then I could just, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, you know, give it the old college try. Like we said yesterday, all you can do is try. But some of the pages that I did back in the early part of the book, you know, I hadn't colored when's the last time I never colored any comics when I was doing underground comics, except for the cover of Hobo Stories and the back cover. And when I was incredibly naive and didn't know anything about anything, I sent a full-blown, color-separated cover to Yellow Dog Comics. They already had a cover. It's covered by Trina Robbins, which is a lot better, I guess, a lot better than my stuff. I did a really, really nice job. And I had done color, but it wasn't anything like this. It was using color separations. You don't even see the color when you're doing it. You're imagining what the color will be with 40% cyan, 30% magenta, 10% yellow, and 30% black. What will this color be? Well, you got a chart that will show you what it is, but you're still imagining it. So I really just started coloring comics a couple of months, you know. Well, January or it's December, I guess. So I'm evolving in that. So I for the print edition, I'm gonna do some recoloring. That one in the middle is starting to sing, just starting to sing. Yeah, that left middle panel is just starting to sing. Poor Pa, someday he's going to have a rheumatoid arthritis just like his father. That's why I drew that hand a little bit gnarled up. I spent many years working manual labor before I got a college degree. And so I know about When you're young, it's no big deal. You get older, you start pulling muscles. Up until I was in my 30s, I worked my way through graduate school too. I was unloading trucks at U-Truck, huge rolls of canvas, put on my back and just walk them straight in without any help. I could do that back then. I was about a year or two away from what I call the middle-aged wall. The middle-aged wall. If you hit it, you already know what it is. If you haven't hit it, be warned. It will hit you like a ton of bricks. It is when your testosterone level drops to below the level where you heal really quickly. Anything you do, any exertion you do, you heal from it in a day or so, maybe overnight, and you're not sore anymore. That'll end. That'll end. You'll be a completely different person when you're on either side of the wall. So two completely different people. But in my up until my late 30s, I was still I had not hit that wall. I was doing a lot of manual labor. Probably not as bad as these poor lumberjacks. Because swinging an axe and a double-bladed saw with another person back in the early part of the last century, that's hard work. That's really, really hard work. I've worked hard to put myself through school, but being a lumberjack every day, that is really tough work. And there's still people doing that. Dang. I once ran into a lawyer in New York whose family had been involved with the same lumber and paper mill company as my family when they were lumberjacks. He was also, his grandfather was also in that milieu, also in that culture. And he had, like me, he had used education to get away from all that. He was quite an accomplished man. He was both a medical doctor and a lawyer. And he, at the time that I knew him, he was working on a contract for international paper. Probably, I think it was a plant up in Maine. So if you can, you don't want to continue being a lumberjack if you don't have to be. You have to be. Hey, power to you. This country is built on the backs of people who work their tails off. And guys like me, we're just lucky to not be doing it anymore. Think about all the brave folks that are going out every day, keeping this country running during this pandemic crisis. That'd be me if I hadn't gotten an education. And even my niece is doing that. She's an RN. She's dealing with that. But she says her hospital really was very well prepared for this pandemic. Really well prepared. They had very few deaths in her town. Like when I looked at it, they had 8 in the entire city of about a couple of 100,000 people. That's pretty good. Only 8 deaths. Not bad. Let's go talk to these people and say, how did you guys do that? And they'd probably tell you. In about 30 minutes, 34 minutes. What do I do during that time? I think maybe I do the lettering. I don't know. Maybe I do the lettering. I did output this as a really long file. Maybe I did the lettering at the end. I don't know. Sometimes I impersonate a confused old man. I should win an acting award for it. I believe I should. I nail it every time I do it. There we go. Put a little. I think I just put in a little bit more. Nope, that's not it. Okay. I'm still working on shadows. Yeah, I'm burning in some shadows. Yeah. Trying to look at the whole thing. Figure out where I need to make some changes. You notice up there, I did the same thing in the clouds that I did in the previous page. Is I tried to make the fluffiness of the clouds not just a matter of grays and values like that, to actually use color to construct the billowing effects of the clouds, so that it's more interesting that way. And I'm all for rich color. I want full saturation. I want every color to zing. There are places that you make subordinate by knocking down the saturation, the tone, like over on the right of the top panel, where I use that beige and everything. That's so that that aqua blue in Pa's jacket really stands out. But there are little sections you want, as you scan the page, you want there to be a certain rhythm that occurs with the scan of the page. You pop from one point to another, and if I'm doing it right, you're doing it the way I want you to do it. And every section of the composition should be activated. Even if it's subordinate, it's still something going on there that's going to bring you over there to look at it, even for a section, so that it always activates the sensibilities of the viewer and becomes space. Because it is possible for visual art to have a section that's just not space at all. It doesn't work and everything like that, which happens a lot in young artists. I've tutored kids a lot over the years. So that's not working spatially, and it's called non-space. You try to avoid that and really plan that out in the drawing, that you make sure that every section of the composition has something that causes you to weave in and weave out. And you do it with color, and I do it with color, shape, value, contrast. There's a reason why Paul has a black handlebar mustache and black hair. Is that it makes his face really stand out. I can cause him to become a focal area. I put a line that runs through his face from that horse's head up to that stand of brush. There's a line that runs right through his face, and right through his face is some high contrast, and I have locked him into that spatial area. I've locked Blueboy into that spatial area by making him jut up above that landscape in a different way than Paw juts up above the landscape, a different size, a different rhythm. And then Joby, over on the left, he juts out, but he's a much larger space, a much larger shape. And he is made legible by that little brown copse of trees over on the left. And I swipe my little copse of trees from Leonardo's sketchbooks. I always do that, and it's I might as well give a shout out to Leonardo. He's got a little drawing in his sketchbooks called "Copse of Birches." The most gorgeous drawings you've ever seen in your whole life. Just a little thing. I think it's in the collection of the Queen of England. She's got a lot of this stuff. Anyway, probably Henry VIII got it. Oh yeah, Anthony Van Dyke went and got him for him. Anyway, that's a wonderful little drawing that can inform the drawing of any little section of trees. And now I'm using my watercolor thing, and I'm embellishing that. I want to make it a little more. That little copse of trees, I want to make it a little more understandable. Not to be all just that same little value and the same strength of line. I'm not sure if I keep on doing that. Do I do it over the right also? I might. I think I did. And do I outline some of these? I think I outlined some of Blueboy's figure to make him pop out. That's what I was doing all this time. I made him pop out. But not in this, very exact line, which I did when I was 20, when I was doing hobo stories. All the figures were outlined in this heavier rapidograph line. Okay. But now I'm much more interested in it kind of vibrating, some kind of visual vibration, so that it's not exact. Okay, now I'm going to go down there. Maybe I'm probably going to do the same thing here. Okay. Okay, I'm back from silent mode. I went silent for a while because my wife came in from walking the dog. She walks the dog about the time that I start this. She comes back in, and the opening of the door and all, the dog barking and everything, which you can probably hear in a little bit in the background. He's a corgi, so he's a yappy dog, but he's the sweetest dog you could ever imagine having. You can't get him to stop loving you. And everybody he meets, he says, "You were created to rub up my belly," which is real difficult for him right now with all the social distancing going on. He doesn't understand. He doesn't get into any of that social distancing. He wants everybody to rub his belly. Poor kid. He's just going to have to get used to it. Dog across the street can't come across the street. But you got a human being right next to him. I got a little bit of my video stream got a little bit pixelated, but it didn't last. Now, where am I? I'm 22, 42. We'll see. I have a lettering video that I'm going to do. And I don't know if I appended it to the end of this. I don't know. I think I said earlier that I'm having more fun than I've had in ages. So every time I do something, back about 2014, I returned to intaglio printmaking, which is etching, hard ground etching. I had abandoned it after graduate school because of nitric acid. Nitric acid fumes are not good for your lungs, and there's nothing you can do about it. I went to a school, Missouri State. I got my undergraduate degree in printmaking, and they had a fan running 24 hours a day to bring acid fumes out of the studio. It's still not enough. We had fans in the dark room in photography. You go in there and you couldn't hear yourself think because the fans were so loud. It's still not enough. A lot of people left etching for a long time until the 1990s. They started developing intaglio printmaking that was non-toxic. And I got it back into that about 2014. You can actually use acrylic grounds instead of using asphaltum, which have all types of carcinogenic things in it. You can now use acrylic grounds, and I get them from a French company called Lascaux, and I got lots of it. All these grounds imitate soft ground, they imitate aqua tint, hard ground, anything you can think of. And then instead of using nitric acid, you use white vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, and sea salt. And it does the exact same thing. And I'm living in Florida, so I go out on the back porch in a little plastic bin that pretty much the way same kind of bin we used in undergraduate school and graduate school. And it doesn't take long. You can bite copper the same way that Dutch Morton bites it, but bites it really quick, almost as if it was nitric acid. But in nitric acid, you don't get kind of cool. You don't use nitric acid for copper. But this you can use as if it was Dutch Morton, except it works much faster. You can only use it one time, though. Once you get finished with one plate, one setup, you have to throw it away. You put it in a big milk jug, and you take it to the battery. The same place you do the batteries. When you get rid of your batteries, you take them to the battery place. use the same thing. But that's what I was doing in 2014. I'm always having a good time when I'm making art. Art's cool. Art's more fun than barrel monkeys. Writing's the same way. I spent a long time just doing my best to produce 1,000 words a day. I got a huge backlog of stories that if I didn't write the rest of my life, I probably spent the rest of my life doing all these stories because I got a huge backlog. Some of them were pretty decent. I don't know. I don't have an editor. I am my editor, and that's just the way it's going to be. You know, I don't have to be a big deal in this world. It's not going to be a huge a blow to my ego if I don't become Mr. Big Time. So I'm already happy enough as it is. I've had a wonderful life, a beautiful life. Got a wonderful wife. I've had an effect on children, a lot of students. And I'm still trying to do it. I'm still teaching college. But I hope that this takes off. But I don't want my head to become too big about this. I think one of the great problems that any artist has, it's something you have to deal with, is that you can't be an artist without having a little bit of an ego. You just can't do it. You got to also control it. You can't let it guide and control your life. You have to realize that you were given a gift, and you should use that gift for the good of others. You should write stories that tell people where to shoot their arrow. Aristotle said that if we knew what the purpose of our lives were, and we were sure of it, would we not train our arrow on that target? That's the metaphor he used at the time in Nicomachean Ethics. And I agree with you. I think that art should do that. Not all art does that, and it's not like you wasted your life if you're not doing that. It's just that great art will lead you in that fashion. Lord of the Rings by Tolkien is a beautiful example of that. A man who truly understood life. And he wrote that book to warn you what life is like when you seek only power. And that's part of the whole thing with watching your ego as an artist, is that there is no amount of power that is not fraught with danger of making you think that the whole world revolves around you. It doesn't. You ever been a high school teacher, you know the world doesn't revolve around you. No. And the world keeps on going. And the world will keep on going after I'm gone. One of my favorite paintings of all time is Landscape with the Fall of Icarus by Bruegel. And in it, he uses the language of art in a most telling way by putting a red sleeve right on the, it would be on this sleeve. This is big red sleeve. Red is a color you have to look at. You cannot ignore red. With all these muted colors everywhere in the painting, there's this big red sleeve. Well, you look at it. In the ocean, down at the bottom of the cliff, next to a ship, is Icarus drowning. And this guy who's you're noticing with the red sleeve, he's plowing a field with an oxen or a horse. One of the two, I don't remember. And the whole point of the painting is to illustrate an old medieval saying that no hand leaves the plow over the death of one man. You may think you're really important, but you're not. Life will go on without you. It'll go on just fine. Look at the people. Look at Michelangelo. You think, oh, we can't get along without Michelangelo. You're going to have to get along without Michelangelo. You have to do. That's what we've had to do for the past 500 years. We haven't had Michelangelo, 450 years, something like that. We haven't had him. We have what he did, but we don't have him. So don't get too caught up in who you are and what you are, because the world will go on just fine without you. So you have to keep that in mind as an artist. You're not that big a deal. Your job here is to do beautiful things that lead people to beautiful actions. It should be. It should not just simply be an aesthetic experience. As an art teacher and an artist, not an art historian, because I have my degrees are studio art, but I know a few things about what art should be doing. Is that it's not purely an aesthetic experience. It should lead you to something that is worth doing. So, and each of us can do it. There is no person who cannot have a worthy life in which they help those who are helpless. Anyway, and this is what I was doing. I was increasing the contrast of these panels so that they snap, they pop. Yeah, right there. You see, I had to get Blueboy's leg to recede visually, not just intellectually. That's because, okay, I see that it's a different size. I wanted to do it also spatially. And so, where am I now? Probably, I've got still 9 minutes, so I guess I'm probably doing something in the top panel and the bottom panel. So, what's going on here? So, I'm still in the color layer. So, I'm either adding in color. I've got the blur tool, the smudge tool. Where am I doing it? Okay, I'm doing down here in the feet. Do something. So right now I'm going to go for a new color, and I'm going to probably go into the shadows. I'm going into the shadows. Let me see. There we go. Bring this up here. here, and oh, track my topic on this. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Let me turn that okay, good. Okay. I had to run to the bedroom and grab my charger, my tablet, which is what I'm using to monitor what's going on Facebook. It's getting down there, 35%. I don't want it to go out. My phone can handle it all day long, but this is an old fire tablet. It needs a charge after a while. Anyway, this is more fun than a barrel of monkeys. I know what's going on. I know what the story is. I love this story. I'm glad that I waited 40 years. I'm glad I did all this research. I'm glad I know everything I need to know about this period of history. There are some things going on in this period of history. It's amazing the forces of evil that were at large in the world in the early 20th century. Dadgum. A lot of crazy people doing a lot of crazy things. And if you didn't go nuts like them, you were a very special, especially lucky, fortunate person. You didn't get dragged into this craziness, which we're experiencing now. We're experiencing a lot of this junk now. So coming back to haunt us. We're going to have to be very vigilant. One of the things I teach in my classes is that these old problems that dog humanity come back every generation. Every generation has to renew their commitment to doing the right thing. You can lose it in one generation. So 100 years ago was a wild and woolly time. Yeah, I'm glad I waited 40 years of percolating, of letting this seep and naturally occur. So that I know what these characters are doing. I know why I'm doing everything. I know what the story arcs are doing. I don't know if I'm doing it in any way that's memorable. History will have to make that decision. It's not my problem. I'm just doing it, and I'm having a great time, and I'm hoping I'm entertaining people. I hope it's entertaining. I hope it's interesting. I did read something. There's a philosopher named Edward Fazer. I really dig this guy. He is so bright, so incredibly smart. Like me, a lover of Aristotle, and he said he recommended my webcomic on his blog, and one of his responders in the com box thanked him for putting Blueboy Brown on his page, and that he was hooked on it. And the reason I sent it to this guy is because Edward Facer is a comic book fan. All his blog posts, and a large number of his blog posts, had little illustrations of comic books, comic book covers, and things from old Golden Age stuff. Probably finds it Comic Book Plus, where all those great. I recommend this highly. Is Comic Book Plus. I think that's the name of it. Comic Book Plus. I can check it out. Yeah, let me check out Comic Book Plus. Where's my browser? I guess I have to use that. I don't care about those for the students. Comic Book Plus. I think that's the name of it. Horrible browser. Where am I? Well, I'm up in shadows. I'm going to lay in some shadows right at the very end of this. Maybe I won't. Yeah, comicbookplus.com. There's a multitude of comic books, comic strips, fanzines, non-English, all types of cool stuff at Comic Book Plus. They're all in public domain. And you can read them online or you can download them. They're just absolutely wonderful. And I think that's where a lot of Facer gets a lot of his screenshots. Everything that's ever been digitized of the spirit is there, and it's wonderful. Anyway, this guy in his combox said he was completely hooked on Blueboy Brown and was surprised that I was good pals with Rick Berry because he just finished reading Neil Gaiman's run on the Eternals, which Berry did all the covers for. Yeah, I know I've known Rick Berry for close to 50 years. We both wet behind the ears at the same time. He's only like, his birthday, he'll be 67 this month. He's about 4 or 5 months younger than me, not much younger. And so he's surprised that I knew that guy. Yeah, I know a lot of people, a lot of cool people. Not as many cool people as the other Everyman people. I went into the fine arts stuff right after my Everyman experience. I found Rembrandt. Yeah, that was the end of it. Once I found Rembrandt, I didn't care about anything else. Okay, I'm finished with this. Okay, I'm going to show the. So I did not. So get rid of that, and I'm going to go to the lettering. Yes. Now I'm going to do the lettering. Okay. So share this screen, share this application, and start this thing up. Okay, there we go. And so it's only about 39 minutes. So yeah, I'm making. Well, I had already made a word balloon. So now, for instructor purposes, I'm going to recreate that word balloon. This is a real simple way of making word balloons. You make a layer for the word balloon, and you make sure you label it so you can find it later, especially if you have lots of word balloons. And then I use just one primitive shape, an oval, and I keep on pasting that primitive shape, bringing it up there, and then doing a pathfinder. I realized yesterday, after I had finished the whole dang thing, that musical note that was driving me crazy, I should have done what I'm doing here, is put the shapes together and then highlight them all and use Pathfinder to join them. Yeah. Next time I do that, I don't have any other. What's going on here? Huh. Huh. So it appears, okay, there's a delay on both Facebook and, yeah, there's a delay on both Facebook and YouTube. It's good because sometimes people will cause a blue streak and you sure don't want anybody to hear that or do something stupid. I wonder if anybody's watching these things so that they would know that there's something horrible going on. They at least do that in radio. And they do that because if you're like in talk radio and somebody calls up the talk radio, they'll somebody says something off color. They've got a 6-second delay, and somebody who's in a control booth can mute it before it gets to the airwaves. Especially that's what they're doing with this, but there have to be somebody monitoring everything. And not enough people to do that. Anyway, that's not going to happen in my life. Now, so I'm recreating this, and I don't, okay, I see it here, see it there, but do I see it here? Not yet. Okay. Yeah, there's a bit of a delay in both of them. So I recreate this word balloon, and I already have the text up here. And it says, you know, you only yodel when you've been with your grandpa. You only yodel when you've been with your grandpa. And then he says something else. So put it right over there so you can see me recreating my technique for creating word balloons, which I think is better than having a library of balloons because you can actually design it for that actual space. I think it works a little bit better. That's just for me, and maybe other people can do it, but I don't want to have to go through an entire library of word balloon shapes and say, is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? I tried that. It just drove me nuts. I don't know how to do it. Okay. This panel, panel 1, text 2. And it says, I saw what he brought home last night. Grandpa's night, I had a whole lot of luck with women. They run off and leave him in the middle of the night, or he finds out they've got another husband. Betty the bigamist did that to him. None of these women lived in my great-great-grandfather's life. He didn't have that problem. He was a widower, but he didn't. There's no Betty the Bigness in his life. Had real trouble finding people, women who wanted to help him raise a couple of boys. There we go. Now I'll add the pointer to it in just a second. Which I do by going back down there to the layer section, and then I do my triangle polygon, make it the shape of a pointer, and then bring it over there. And hopefully it fits in there. And we got it. Yeah, I think so. Put it together. Voila. Yeah, cool. Oh, I repositioned it. I wasn't happy with it. Now I'll go on to the second panel balloon. It's always important to label your panels. It's real easy in a complex page to get lost, not know what you're actually saying or doing and where it goes. Then when you want to make changes, you have to go through and find them all. It's a big waste of time. A whole lot better to label them all. It's my wife and the corgi. We love that little dog. He's a good dog. Beautiful dog, too. He's a Merle. He's got the coloring of an Australian Shepherd, but he's a little bit. He's small. He's got really tiny legs, and they were bred in Wales, and they're not for herding sheep. They're for herding cattle. And the reason they have small legs is because that way the cattle can't bend down and bite them. They probably would if they could, but they're too small to do it. How these little dogs, these are really energetic dogs. Lots of personality. And sweetest dogs you ever met in your whole life. Okay, so I'm resizing this word balloon, which I decided just to make an oval, I think. And then over on the Barney, no, not there, not there. You can't. Here, get over here. Come on. Here. Here, there you go. Get up right there. That's the wires.
Barney, come.
Yeah, look at that. Look at your mama.
Barney, come.
Look at your mama.
Look, this works. This works.
Okay. So we're getting close to the end of this. It's going to take a little while because I've got to do 2 balloons over in that middle right panel. I got to get that balloon there situated so it looks right. Put a pointer on it. Then I have to do the 2 balloons over there. And then there's 2 balloons in the bottom panel. So I got to admit, I'm kind of happy with that horse head in the top panel. I love horses. I've never ridden horses that much. I've fallen off a few of them. My wife was quite an equestrian at one time. When we first met, she was taking horse riding lessons, doing dressage, and she's really good at it. So she's the horse person in the family. My dad was a real horseman. He could really ride a horse. He was young. My uncles were, but we left the farm early enough in my life so that I didn't get to hang out with horses too much. That's why I didn't get. I stopped falling off horses before I would bounce. Before I would break, I would bounce. It was all right to fall off a horse when you would bounce, but not when you break. My Uncle Troy, the Seminole Indian, was cowboy. Cowboy's not an easy life. He was breaking horses till he was 75 years old. He had to stop when he was 75 years old because he was breaking a horse and it was stiff legging him, and it caused a separation of the stomach lining from his abdomen, and just, I guess it's not a hernia or anything like that, but it hurt like bitches, and he couldn't do it anymore. At 75 years old, he lived to be close to 100. Tough old bird, and so I didn't get a chance to become a horseman. That's okay. Yeah, can't do everything in life. I got some really nice photos of my wife with horses. She's really good at it. So now I'm going to do the balloons for the right hand, middle. I don't know if I do multiple ovals. We'll see in a second. Oops. There's a little feature there that isolates a section, which I don't particularly want. So I get rid of that. And then I want all my strokes for all these panels to be 3 points, and it's right now it's a 1 point, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I do, but I have a little problem with the angle of this this thing right here. And then you can make pie charts in Illustrator real well. I have no use for pie charts at this point in my life, but I'll fix that in a second. Okay, I'm gonna fix that now. Maybe I should just get rid of it. There, I did it. Oh, no, I didn't. I eventually did it. I know I did. There we go. Now I have to increase this. I have to increase the stroke on those two balloons. I think I've noticed it by now that the two balloons needed the, yeah. Both. No, I don't. Okay. I'll do it eventually. I know I do. Okay. Yeah. Give this some time. When you're doing lettering, you don't justify to the left in lettering in comics. You do a centered. You justify it in the center. And then if it's an oval, you have you want it to spread out. So you stack the fewest letters at the top, then you'll have more in the middle, then less at the bottom. And that way it fits a balloon. Well, I've had a little problem with this balloon. Once you get them that small, the points at the corners are real tough to grab hold of. And so I'll eventually get it. There we go. Okay, see. Will is way, you got to persevere. All things in life, you must persevere. Yeah. These things take time. I wonder if I should. I don't know if I did. Okay, I didn't. I should have stacked those, but I didn't. I don't think I did. Oh, okay. There's a point on my browser, on my laptop, where it appears that I was frozen. And I just let it play on out. Probably something to do with bandwidth at the time, but it's stopped. That's good. Gotta admit, I'm loving this video encoder, StreamYard. It's really nice. I was using Blackboard for teaching online during the month of April. It had major problems with bandwidth. Maybe it's because everybody in the dadgum universe was using Blackboard at the same time. Only so much bandwidth for each server. But this StreamYard seems to have a pretty good set of servers, because it's, even though it's a little bit of a jump, it's not completely smooth. It's pretty good. So I'm still getting some really, really nice, beautiful results. So I'm getting close to the end of this. I have to move this around. We got it 17 more minutes. Woo. So now I'm going to do the last panel. Take me just a few minutes. Blueboy is expressing his desire to have a real grandma. Grandma's real special. I still got a 1 point. That's 3 points over here. So I put 3 points on that those top balloons. So I did that. Daily live stream through the month of May, because during the month of May, my college isn't having. I usually have a summer session in the month of May, which I'll be teaching every twice a day or twice a week. But because of the virus lockdown and everything, we're holding off till June 1st to start up school. So month of May, I'm free. After that, we'll see what I do. May, I just simply do it 5 days a week, 4 days a week. over that time, thinking real seriously about a Kickstarter campaign for the first issue of Blueboy Brown. Make it the first couple of chapters. I already got it pretty much set up so I could do that. It would be 24 pages plus covers, and it wouldn't be too big a stretch to maybe get some support for a Kickstarter campaign. But we'll see whether or not that's possible. If anybody wants to see one of those things, I've always loved physical comic books, and the printer that I've chosen, I've seen their samples. They do really beautiful work. It would be a high quality comic book on really beautiful paper, uh, real heavy 100-pound 100-pound covers, 80-pound interiors. This kind of color, just exactly like this. And a physical thing, it'd be 7 by 10 inches, a little bit bigger than a regular comic book. And so we'll see whether or not that happens. Okay, it'd be nice to have a real grandma. And there's the last one. Reassures Blueboy. He's got to be better than Betty the Bigamist. Blue screen now. Okay, almost there. Says, I know, son. Give it time. One of the cool evolutions, maybe I've matured as a writer, is that for the past 28 years, I've been teaching art history and humanities courses on the college level. And I got to um, use my experience of knowing Raphael at Pratt and analyzing Hamlet and other other great pieces of theater in my classrooms, and I started understanding the structure of drama, understanding the structure of the story, how you build up tension, how you release it, how you inject comedy into a drama without destroying the dramatic intent of the story. College teaching was just a wonderful thing for me. And I didn't have to go to committee meetings. I didn't have to be on endless committees. There was no politics involved in my father-in-law was a full professor in 4 different departments at at Ford International University, and so he knew a lot about college politics. There's a lot of politics going on because everybody wants to do real well with their career. I never had to deal with that because I was a nobody. It's wonderful being a nobody at a school. You still get to work there, but you don't have to play any of the political um, chess matches that go on, which are a natural part of all a human endeavor. It's not just it's not standing in college or why colleges exist. We need colleges, but we need full-time faculty, and I don't need to be one of those people. I just am happy being an adjunct, just coming in, but doing my classes, having my office hours, and leaving. Other people, they got all types of stuff to do. So being able to teach college and deal with Hamlet, yeah, I love teaching Hamlet. And so I'm saving this. And now I'm going to export it for screens so I can use it on the webcomic. I'm going to make it page 54, page 54.2. One of them is a 24 colors, a lot of colors. Then one of them is 8 color. The 8 color works as well as any of them. If you make it a pink, pinks are really, really nice outputs for comics. It works really well in WordPress, which compresses it anyway. No matter what you do, WordPress is going to impress a crisp file. It takes a long time, as I remember, for this particular one to save and to output. When it gets done, I'll be able to bring it up. Seems like forever, but it does act. There it is. There it is. Got it. And there it is, and I'll show that. Let me see. Okay. Okay. What up, bud? Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm at the end. Come on, quick time. Give me a break. Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay, am I at the end? Was I? What was I trying to do? Page 50. Okay, see what I was doing. I'm only 2.5 minutes away from the end of this little thing. So let's see what I was up to. What am I doing? Oh, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't know why I'm showing this. Anyway. Okay. So you don't see that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. And then let me get rid of that. And here's preview. Go show off this page here, which I'm real proud of. This is where the watercolor really started to kick in. I was really happy with the watercolor. This digital watercolor thing that I'm doing. See if I can. I tell you, I'm real happy with this one. My favorite. Favorites of my production of this. I took this directly out of my sketchbook. I didn't do anything to it except play around with it in Photoshop to work on the dark values. Because what I did is I used burn in this section here. I burn it with the that burn tool in the toolbox and played around with that so that I got these variations here. Then I laid all this then I laid all this laid all the color in. I created this sense of tenebrism here, just this little bit where it seemed like a spotlight going on because there had been clouds in the previous makeup. Yeah, here we go. Then the next bottom panels, I really love those. You know, maybe this is where my ego comes in. I love this little character, Mrs. Hartman. Yep, this is it. Meanwhile, inside, what in Sam Hill set nosy old man for the dance? What could he want? And if you read the part where he's in the dance, she was telling him, why don't you just leave me alone? He wouldn't let her go. So she spilled her guts about all the things that were going on with her life and how tragic it had been. And so this came straight out of the old sketchbook. I didn't do anything to it except manipulate it in Photoshop. Did a lot of burning up here to make this darker here. But I'm real happy with that. Anyway, so let me stop sharing that. Tomorrow is about an hour and 45 minutes. I've got other things to do that have to be done. So I'll show you about an hour and 45 minutes of page 55. of coloring that. And then the lettering I'll do on Thursday. And I'll show you some stuff from page 42. And then I'll start thinking about recoloring some parts of earlier parts of the book, which have to be done because I'm getting better at coloring, I think. I just showed you this thing that I did, Mrs. Hartman's sharecropper's shack. And I'm getting happier with all this stuff. So if you are watching this on whatever platform, Facebook or YouTube, do me a favor, tell all your buddies about this. If go to blueboybrown.com. Let me put the banner up for blueboybrown.com so you see it. Go read that thing. If it resonates with you, if you say it's not bad, tell all your buddies about it. Tell everybody. If you want to, support me on Patreon, which is a worthy thing to do. Doesn't cost much. The lowest tier is like $3 a month. And I appreciate every dime I get because I'm investing in everything into the comic book. That's all I care about right now, getting the comic book out. And then the more people see this, more people may be able to respond so we can do a Kickstarter campaign and get a print edition out. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you don't have to worry about print edition. But that would be a cool thing. Everybody who loves comics loves to hold them in their hands. Digital thing's fine. But your eyes get tired reading comic book screen, reading the computer screen. But a print edition of a comic book, which I always have one around here somewhere, like this. You can look at this all day long. Look at this all day long. Yeah, it doesn't hurt your eyes at all. Anyway, so it's been 3 hours and 9 minutes. Which is about as far as we should probably go. And so I will see you tomorrow. Please tell all your friends about me. And thank you for being present, whether you're watching it live or watching it as a rerun. I appreciate everybody who comes in here and is helping me out with my return to comic books after 45 years or something like that since I finished my last comic. And so isn't that cool? So anyway, I will see you. Oh, let me stop. Let me share my my exit screen. This is my screen that Blueboy Brown, The Adventures of a Family. And maybe tomorrow I'll try to remember. My wife is watching Flintstones in the background. I can't hear. So tomorrow I might show this little illustration here, which I did with my little Bic mechanical pencil, which is the great thing about mechanical pencils. You can use them to ink. You can also use them to do these little silhouette things that I dig. So that's something that I'll try to remember to do. Okay, so I thank everybody for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.